Okay, this video is about how, if you live in a warm climate, you can still use your van in the winter. So I just attempted that this weekend. I lived down in South Texas and I went the whole way to Kansas City for the Thanksgiving weekend, and it got down to 24 degrees. So here's how I did it. It worked perfectly, and I did not have to winterize. So first of all, if we're gonna mooch dock, in this case at my son's house, the first thing you wanna do is go to your Firefly on the vertical navigation bar. You want to click on the lightning bolt, which is your power. Here, then you want to click on inverter, Xantrex controls, page over twice, shore breaker size. Now this is typically set at 50 or 30 amp. As you can see, I moved mine down to 15 amp. Do it again. And then press save. What that means is my inverter will only pull a maximum of 15 amps out of the shore power. Well, I'm hooked up to a 110 household plug. They're typically 15 or 20 amp services. Therefore, I intentionally set my inverter to only be able to pull down 15 amps so I can't blow the household circuit, and it worked perfectly. The next thing I want to show you is this. This tank heater, you press your tank heater. This is a tank heater that keeps your batteries warm. Lithium batteries don't like to work below 32. You can choose your number, how they will they discharge or not discharge, or charge rather. The bottom line is I wanted to keep them above 32 so I could use them. So here's how I did it. A couple things I want to show you. First of all, as you guys know, I'm a big believer in roll-off shades. Why? Because I have this nice barrier during the winter. So the worst part of my insulation is the windshield, and I can block that off. So I use four things. First, I use this. This is just my normal outdoor cord. It has three plugs, and it is grounded. I use this all the time when I'm boondocking. I can plug it into my RV or into shore power and run 2 or 3 things off this, my Ninja cooker, fan, etc. when I'm outside. I think everyone knows you have to have this this piece. This is a 30 amp service to 110 dog bone. Most importantly for us, 30 amp have to have that hook here, so it hooks into your 30 amp, and then this will plug into here. Then I plug this into the shore power, into the 110 outlet in his garage, and I was able to draw 15 amps continuously and not discharge my battery. And it worked fine. I tried one different thing that I think really worked well. I want to show you, this is what's different I did this week. So I went and bought this. This is an outdoor plug, grounded. This is the type, you can get it, it's very thin. First, how thick this is very thin, but it's an outdoor plug I got on Amazon, and I've got this. This is the Velocity tuned heat Fernado. Got this on Amazon also. This little guy was amazing. What we did was we placed this against the roll of shades and then pushed hot air back into the RV. And I'm telling you, it was 24 degrees outside, and this thing kept us nice and toasty at 7 degrees for 4 days. It was an amazing tool. What's different is I took this, and instead of plugging into my RV to push my batteries harder, since it was thin, I was able to run it around here. These are nice and thick, and then close the door on that wire, and it didn't crush at all, as you can see. But that way I could run my shore power, my heater, my Velocity, directly off the plug in his garage and not have to worry about running off my batteries. My concern then was that maybe my batteries wouldn't charge because it was going to be cold. Just the opposite is true. They charged all weekend long because I had my tank heaters on and I had them plugged into this shoreline. And I did one more thing that's different. This can draw up to 15 amps, and so could this. And I was on a 15 amp breaker. What I chose to do was run this one to a separate outlet in the garage, and this one to a separate outlet outside the garage. In other words, this had 15 amp access, and so did this also. So it's a small nuance. The point being is I didn't see any reason to winterize my vehicle. I was only going to be here for 3 days, and the coldest it was going to be was 24. But but it was always above 30 during the day, so it never got below 32 for long enough, I felt, with the tank heaters on, to freeze the system, and I was right. It's not for everyone. This is a nuance on boondocking. I can tell you, I drove from South Texas the whole way to Kansas City, spent 3 days in, for us, down here would be brutally cold weather, below 32 or near 32, wind chill, and with my roll-off shades blocking that windshield, so I didn't have horrible, I had enough insulation in the vehicle, and using this method of turning this to 15 amp, so I could warm up my batteries and run my tank heaters all weekend long for 3 days, and using this from the outside, this Velocity with this particular, just a regular, no name on it, outside plug from Amazon, it worked perfectly. By the way, this from Amazon, if you look for this one, it actually says it can rain and still work. So this has some kind of mechanism that even if it rains directly on it, it will stay, it will continue to work. And this system worked really well for me for those living in the South who are going north for a day, couple days, where it's not going to get brutally cold into the 20s, and you just want to find a way to not have to worry about winterizing your vehicle. I will tell you one thing, and what's interesting to us is, as you all know, we have the Whale electric heater, water heater, which I love, by the way. And the water was so cold in the vehicle that after heating the water for 30 minutes, it got warm, but it didn't get that boiling hot water like we're used to doing when we're boondocking. So if you're going to these winter days and you're going to run your electric heater, you probably want to run it. You probably want to heat the water for more than 30 minutes. Okay, hope that helps. Send me your comments if you need any help, and happy to answer for you. Hope this helps. Bye-bye.